Hello everyone. Welcome to Unit 10, Environment and Media. Media reflects its surroundings and isn't devoid of environmental crisis. The omnipresent nature of media has the immense capacity of capturing public attention and influencing policy decisions regarding environment, especially with the new age media's growth. Humans and nature form an inseparable part of life support system which has five elements: air, water, land, flora and fauna, which are interrelated and interdependent. However, relentless development has let the system go off balance, which is a threat to both nature and mankind. It is a moral responsibility to restore it and preserve for future generations. Though global warming, pollution, and wildlife conservation are widely talked about since ages, it is the new age media that brings us together to have a closer look, enabling civic participation. By the end of this presentation, we would be able to discuss the relationship of environment and human beings, describe some environmental challenges, analyze the responsibility of media towards environment, and examine some environmental campaigns in India and the role of media in the same. Nature acts as both source and a sink. Source as it provides raw materials for industries, food for people, fuel for transport, etc., and sink wherein it absorbs waste generated from developmental activities. But the overconsumption of Earth's resources and addition of non biodegradable waste is leading to ecological imbalance. According to United Nations, development is a multidimensional undertaking to achieve a higher quality of life. Economic development, social development, and environmental protection are interdependent and mutually reinforcing components of sustainable development. This can be further explained with the egg of sustainability model, wherein ecosystem and people within the ecosystem continuously interact by giving or taking stress and benefits. People depend on ecosystem just as the yolk is surrounded and supported by an egg white. To implement sustainability, Sustainable Development Goals, also known as Global Goals, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015. The 17 SDGs are integrated, that is, the action in one area will affect outcome in others, and that development must balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability. Here we can see, though environmental health underlies SDG number 3, it is the SDGs 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 that indicate the urgency to address environmental risks. Before working towards the SDGs, we shall list down the environmental risks that hampers our ecosystem. Air pollution and transportation. Did you know that among world's 30 most polluted cities, 22 are in India, with Delhi being ranked as the most polluted capital city? Energy. 3 billion are using dirty fuels like charcoal and animal waste for cooking and heating. The challenge is to replace it with clean and affordable energy. Technology. Technology is a curse when it comes to air conditioners and refrigerators, which use ozone depleting refrigerants. Chemicals and waste. Usage of chemicals and management of waste needs to be addressed urgently as world's population nears 8 billion. Ecosystem degradation. The degradation of ecosystems due to overexploitation of their resources, though serving a short-term economic goal, has had direct negative effects on social welfare in the medium and long terms. By 2030, the world will require 50% more food and 40% more water, energy, timber, and fiber. Water scarcity and pollution. At least half of the Earth's oxygen comes from ocean. Sadly, climate change, overfishing, and 8 million tons of plastic wastes are damaging our water ecosystems. Simultaneously, demand for water is growing with the rising population. Climate change. According to a report by Ministry of Earth Sciences, climate change will cause rise in temperatures, more floods, and severe heat waves over the course of this century. Disasters and conflicts. Natural hazards destroy infrastructure, displace populations, and hamper human security. Nonetheless, man-made disaster like COVID has equally challenged sustainability in terms of clinical waste like masks and swabs. Gender differences. Women, especially in developing countries, are more vulnerable to climate change due to differences in socioeconomic status. Mass media is a tool that is incredibly good at rallying the support of diverse people at once, including policymakers. A common citizen gains confidence and capacity to become effective agents of change when aware of environmental development related issues. Environmental communication is the dissemination of information and the implementation of communication practices that are related to the environment. In a way, it is pragmatic as it solves environmental problems by educating, alerting, collaborating, and mobilizing the masses. It is constitutive because by shaping our perceptions of environment, it helps to shape people's understandings of the environmental issues. Environmental journalism involves understanding of scientific language and practice knowledge of historical environmental events, the ability to keep abreast of environmental policy decisions, and the work of environmental organizations. Bhopal gas tragedy was the first instance to instigate environmental journalism. Media should be well versed with the technical jargon used while reporting climate science. The technical uncertainties cited in scientific terms should be reframed into more comprehensive measures of risk to the society. This would enable the people to perceive the problem, understand the risk, and actively engage in public dialogue to seek sustainable solutions. Media can play following roles in spreading environment related information. Information disseminator. Mass media generates awareness in people and shape their perceptions. The Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984 was one of the events that was covered and followed up by media rigorously. Agents of change. The media and interpersonal interactions work together to reinforce message and persuade to change our attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. Media as stimulator. Mass media activates latent attitudes by mobilizing masses to participate in various environmental conservation activities such as using paper, jute bags instead of poly bags, etc. Facilitator of development. Media coverage is crucial for any environmental issue to enter into the arena of public discourse and become a part of political process. Messenger to policymakers. It works as a bridge by amplifying the popular opinions of people and communities across geographies and shares them with policymakers and vice versa. To reach the masses, media uses various platforms like newspapers and magazines. They can act as a source of motivation to educate farmers about innovative agricultural technologies. Moreover, they expose activities like illegal deforestation, forcing government and stakeholders to rectify their practices. Radio. Radio is an affordable medium to disseminate information at regional level. Kinare Kinare and Aao Dilli Samare were two weekly programs broadcasted by Ministry of Environment and Forests on Delhi FM. Community media. This integrates media with community-based initiatives giving locals the scope to not only participate but also initiate dialogue regarding their regional environmental concerns. For example, Hinalwani Community Radio of Chamba, Uttarakhand produces environmental programs based on their region. Television. By the virtue of its audiovisual elements, television enables a greater retention tendency among the viewers. Mainstream channels like Discovery, National Geographic, and programs like BBC's Earth Report offers interesting pieces on environment. New media. Internet's exponential reach and accessibility makes it the prime resource for the global population to seek information about climate change and how to be eco-friendly. Social media groups like Eco-Freaks create awareness among the group members for recycling resources wisely and to engage themselves in local conservational activities. Environmental movement is a type of social movement that involves array of individuals, groups, and coalitions that act to bring about changes in environmental policies and practices. India has witnessed multiple historic movements. Few of them are Chipko movement. It was spearheaded by Chandni Prasad Bhatt and Sundarlal Bahuguna in the villages of Garhwal Himalayas, Uttarakhand. The movement was marked by women hugging trees to prevent from axing. The Silent Valley Project. It was started to protect Silent Valley in Palakkad, Kerala from being flooded by a hydroelectric project. Similarly, Jangal Bachao Andolan, Navdanya movement, Narmada Bachao Andolan occurred in the decade of 1980s. Save RA Forest. This movement used multimedia campaign at its best to capture public and government's attention. Human chain was formed to protect nearly 2,700 trees in RA forest from being cut for construction of a metro car shed. Bageshwar's One Woman, One Tree. On this 16th March, Chipko movement was revived when hundreds of women in Uttarakhand's Bageshwar hugged trees to save more than 500 trees from felling for 2 kilometers of motorized road. Save Our Tigers campaign. NDTV and Aircel together launched this campaign to promote tiger conservation efforts, with Amitabh Bachchan being the face of the campaign. Media advocacy is a strategic use of mass media to promote public debate and generate community support for changes in community norms and policies on environmental issues in India and other nations. Many environmental organizations have evolved their advocacy units to address the most complex environmental issues through palm oil controversy. Greenpeace used social media to urge Nestle to stop buying palm oil from a company named Sinarmas, which smoked out Indonesian rainforests to make space for palm oil plantations, endangering orangutans. Basin Report Card Initiative. World Wildlife Fund collects basin report cards that determines local basin health and shares the same in the form of photos, maps, and conceptual diagrams to media for disseminating among government entities, private sector, and public at large, with an aim to bring out positive change. The Energy and Resources Institute. TERI produces film portraying stories of change that bring out many struggles and solutions related to sustainable development. Center for Science and Environment. It organizes fellowships for media professionals and workshops for journalists to develop content on thematic areas of environment and enhance their competence in data-driven and thought-provoking stories. Countries around the world have formulated environmental agreements at the global, national, and local level to collectively address the issues of environment. Some of the important conventions and protocols are tabled here. Montreal Protocol. It is an international treaty designed to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production of numerous substances that are responsible for ozone depletion. Basel Convention. This protocol was determined to minimize the generation and movement of hazardous wastes and to dispose them off close to the source. Similarly, CBD aims to conserve biological diversity. UNFCCC was a foundation to combat global warming and reduce the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. The Kyoto Protocol was an agreement to limit greenhouse gas emissions in 160 developed nations. Stockholm Conventions on POPs is a global treaty adopted to eliminate or restrict use of persistent organic pollutants. Nagoya Protocol. It is a legal supplement to the CBD Convention, ensuring fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising of the utilization of genetic resources. All in all, mass media is consistent in feeding our environmental conscience, hoping to bring change. Thank you.